Welcome to the Explainer. Ever wonder what really separates a company that just seems busy from one that, truly builds a lasting legacy? Well, today we're going to uncover the blueprint they all use, the hierarchy of corporate strategy.
It often boils down to one single idea, a really clear sense of purpose. A busy company might be doing a whole lot of stuff, but a successful one is doing the right stuff, and it's all pointing in the same direction. So let's dive in and explore how they actually build that direction, starting from the very top. So, at the very peak of this whole structure, we've got this really powerful concept called strategic intent. Now, this goes way beyond just making a profit. It's the grand ambition, the fundamental why that drives every single decision. You can think of it as the company's North Star, that single point of light that guides and inspires everyone, from a brand new hire all the way to the most loyal customer.
Okay, so to see how this all connects, we're going to build our blueprint in 5 simple parts. We'll start with the compass that sets the direction, then we'll talk about the difference between dreaming and doing, then we'll turn those dreams into real action, and finally we'll look at the rule book that guides the day-to-day work. All right, first up, the company compass. And to really get our heads around this, we're going to use an analogy for this whole explainer. I want you to imagine our company isn't just a business, it's a massive construction project. And the goal is to build an absolutely iconic skyscraper. Now, it's really important to get this. The strategic intent? It isn't the detailed architectural blueprint itself. No, it's the bold, ambitious decision to build something magnificent, something that's going to change the city skyline forever. It's that powerful why that helps secure the funding, that inspires the architects, and that motivates every single worker on the ground. It gives that clear, unifying direction for the entire project. Okay, so you have this huge ambition. Now what? How do you turn that into something, more concrete? This is where we get into 2 of the most famous and, honestly, most confused terms in business: vision and mission. As you can see right here on our strategic pyramid, vision and mission are the first 2 foundational layers. They're the absolutely essential bridge that connects that high-level strategic intent to the actual work that has to get done. I love this slide because it just lays it out so clearly, right? You've got the future versus the present. The vision is the dream. It's that beautiful architect's rendering of the finished skyscraper shimmering on the skyline. But the mission, that's the action. It's the noise, the dust, and the hard work happening on the construction site today to make that dream a reality. Let's look at a real-world example we all know: Google. Their vision is just huge. It's almost impossibly ambitious, and it's totally focused on the future. One click. It's so simple, so powerful, and it perfectly describes a future world they want to create. And then you have their mission. This is what Google employees actually do every single day. They organize information. They make it accessible. They make it useful. It's the present-day action that is constantly building toward that incredible one-click vision. Okay, so we've got the dream, and we've got the daily work. But how do you know if you're actually getting anywhere? Well, the next step is to translate that mission into tangible, measurable milestones. And this is where goals and objectives come into play. Back to our pyramid here, you can see the next 2 layers are goals and objectives. I like to think of this part as the real engine room of the strategy. This is where the fuel of the mission gets converted into the horsepower of real, measurable progress. Think of goals as the major project milestones. They're big statements like become an industry leader or maximize profitability. In our skyscraper analogy, a major goal might be complete the foundation within 3 years. It sets a really clear direction, but it doesn't get into the day-to-day weeds. And that is where objectives come in. Objectives are the super-specific, measurable, and time-bound actions that support a goal. So if the goal is to become an industry leader, the objectives are things like increasing market share by exactly 7% by the end of next year. For our skyscraper, they're the weekly and monthly construction targets. How much concrete needs to be poured? How much steel needs to be erected? All right, now we're getting down to the ground level, to the daily reality of how you actually execute this strategy. And for that, you're going to need a clear rulebook and a really detailed roadmap to guide every single action. Now, for a huge company, you run into a problem. A single strategy just doesn't fit everyone. That's where something called a business definition comes in. Take a massive conglomerate like Tata Group. The strategy for selling cars at Tata Motors is totally different from the strategy for financial services at Tata Capital.
So a clear business definition makes sure each part of the company has its own tailored blueprint that actually makes sense for its specific market and customers. Next up, policies. These are basically the rules of the game, the do's and the don'ts that govern daily actions. They make sure decisions are made within certain limits. Think of these as the safety regulations and the building codes on our construction site. They're there to make sure everyone works safely and consistently.
And finally, we have the plans. A plan is the detailed step-by-step roadmap. So if an objective is to pour the 10th floor by Friday, the plan details exactly who is mixing the concrete, who's operating the crane, and what time they need to start. It turns an objective into a concrete series of tasks. Okay, so let's put it all together. It's time to step back and look at the complete strategic blueprint we've just built, from that sky-high dream all the way down to the boots on the ground. And there it is, the complete blueprint. It all starts with the vision, right? That dream of a finished skyscraper. That dream inspires the mission, the daily purpose of construction. The mission then flows down into goals, our major milestones, which get broken down into specific objectives, our weekly targets. And all of that daily action is governed by plans and policies, the detailed schedule, and the safety rulebook. It's this logical cascade that turns a grand ambition into a tangible reality.
So, the next time you're at work, ask yourself, can you see this blueprint? Do you know the vision? Because understanding this hierarchy isn't just for CEOs, it's for everyone. It's what connects your specific role, your daily tasks, to the top floor of that skyscraper. And that's what transforms a job into a mission.